Hi, it's vegan personal trainer and nutritionist Paul from Herbivore, and this is the latest in my Q&A series. For the chance to get your question answered in the next of these videos, comment down below. Lee Shaw asks, how much does a vegan need of healthy fats per day and how to get them? Also, what's your opinion on apple cider vinegar? So the only fats we really need to concern ourselves with are the polyunsaturated fats omega-3 and omega-6. The best foods for omega-3 are chia and flax seeds. These must be ground before ingestion or you'll get none of the omega-3. Omega-6s is really your other nuts and seeds. If we're just sourcing our fats purely from whole foods, then the optimal amount of omega-3 for a vegan male, 3.2 grams, for a female, more like 2.2 grams. If we're also taking an EPA DHA supplement, which is the long chain omega-3, then we probably only need to have about half that. These recommendations are not really an RDA, but they're the amounts recommended by Brenda Davis and Vasanto Molina, both registered dietitians. And this really, Becoming Vegan Comprehensive Edition, is the Bible of vegan nutrition. So this is the book I look to for all the answers. In terms of omega-6, we don't really know what we need. The science has not been done. We're just looking at a population of people where omega-6 deficiency doesn't exist, and we've just taken the sort of mean of that and said, like, this is, going to be adequate, but we probably don't need half as much as the recommended amount because, most people are ingesting things that are not natural, like an oil. In nature there is no oil, so oil's very high in omega-6, so it's easy for that to go through the roof. And in terms of animal products, eggs, chickens, very high in the long chain, highly pro-inflammatory arachidonic acid version of omega-6. Again, like historically, we weren't able to get that many animal products, so I prefer to come in much lower than the RDA. Oh yeah, and apple cider vinegar you asked about. I'm a big fan. It's the only vinegar, as far as I know, that is alkaline forming. Our bodies need to be slightly alkaline. And some people take it 20 minutes before a meal, 1 to 2 tablespoons in a little water. I believe it's meant to help build the stomach acid so we digest things much better. So I'm a very big fan. Kat Vase says, how often do you cook versus Gemma? Because I can't shift the feeling that she's a better cook than you. How dare you? So for the longest time, really, I was the cook. I like to think that I'm a pretty good cook, but over time, I've got much more busy in terms of making online content for YouTube, for Instagram, that sort of thing. So I don't really prioritize much time for cooking. So breakfast, I typically whack together a smoothie or some porridge, which takes next to no time. Through the day, I'll cook my own meals. And this is often just a boiled grain, some steamed vegetables, like a can of legumes, or some tofu or tempeh, something like that. Maybe I'll make a soup or a chili or a curry, but that's rare. I keep it very simple through the day, and generally Gemma will cook the evening meal. She'd make something a bit more extravagant. Perhaps at the more extravagant meals, like Gemma's got a bit better than me now, simply because I haven't really made any. Yeah, just because I'm really concentrating on the content thing. In fairness, I must admit, she probably is a much better cook than me now. Blue Pam Marshall, long-term subscriber. Do you ever snack in between meals? If so, what do you have? No. That was a quick answer, wasn't it? So the concept of food synergy shows that if we eat several different foods in the same sitting, nutrients in one ingredient will amplify the health benefits of nutrients in the other ingredient. So there's more anti-cancer action, more antioxidants formed. So personally, I don't advocate snacks now, particularly like, just say grapes, for instance. If back in the day when I did have a snack, it would just be some simple fruit or something like that, most likely, just to tide me over. Now I just eat slightly larger meals and I don't get hungry until the next mealtime. And in that way, you get a more nutritional bang for your buck. Roger Guns, I've got a feeling I've probably pronounced that wrong. Question about supplementing creatine for performance and muscle building on a vegan sports diet. Good idea. Do you consider it a food supplement or doping? So yeah, I wouldn't consider it doping. It's definitely a supplement. Back in the day, I used to take creatine when I was an omnivorous eater, and I noticed I got no benefit from it. Around 30% of people are non-responders. And the way to work out if you're a responder or not is really over the first week or so, an average size sort of male would put on about 5 pounds as you increase the water weight, like the water inside your muscles. And then having become vegan, I thought, I'm not eating exogenous creatine now. You know, I used to eat a lot of meat, I'm sad to say, and there would be creatine in the meat itself. So I thought maybe now it will benefit me. So I've tried it again and nothing. Luckily, I seem to still be doing okay though. For athletes for whom this works, it is very effective. You have to cycle it low. So typically people go for about 5 up to maybe about 8 weeks. That's probably pushing it though. And over time, you know, you're putting in this exogenous creatine, your receptors saturate, you down regulate your production of endogenous creatine. So then you have to cycle off it for a little bit. So it's kind of 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. And, you know, for me, I prefer a nice, steady, linear progression in my training. And the other thing is there's no long-term studies on its safety. So nearly every time we eventually find out when we isolate nutrients, you know, we take it out of the whole food, it acts very, very differently in our bodies and tends to be a detriment. So, you know, it depends on your risk aversion, like how much do you want to be like the sort of top athlete you could be and how much do you want to really emphasize your health. And I tend to go slightly more towards the health end. So I'm not sure that I'd really use it even if it did work for me now. Hi, Robbie Trammell. Weird one for you, I'm just curious. I'm assuming the majority of your protein comes from beans/legumes. How much do you consume daily? Yeah, in terms of whole foods, I guess legumes would be the biggest proportion of my protein. Though I eat so many like other foods, like the grains and things, there's actually got a big amount of protein as well. There's protein even in fruit, you know, any whole food by definition is going to have protein in it. Personally for me, for the longest time I've eaten 3 cans of legumes a day, maybe chickpeas, lentils, or the myriad of different beans. Lately I've started to enjoy tofu and tempeh a bit more, so sometimes I'll swap out 1 serving of beans for that. And being a larger strength athlete, I have a couple of scoops of a protein powder per day. I like the Vivo Life Perform protein. It's made from yellow peas, biofermented, so extremely digestible. Best protein I've ever tried. If you want to give that a go, link and discount code in the description. Long-term supporter of the channel, Alison Hatzidakis, asks, what are your ambitions? What's the dream? What a brilliant question. So until recently, my ambition/dream would have been to be a full-time YouTuber. Well, all of a sudden that's happened, so I've got to think of something else now. I hope to start traveling in the next year or so. It's sort of dependent on Gemma's studies that she's doing. But we want to travel. We've not seen much of the world and we've become much more interested in, you know, meeting new people. I'm excited to soak up other cultures. And, you know, really for YouTube, it's going to be a bit boring if I'm constantly in my little city, if it's me in my kitchen doing some cooking and I'm at the gym. And you know, I feel like it's just going to get very samey. And I noticed that travel vlogs tend to do really well. So I'd like to travel around, vlog that, and meet the plant-based doctors, the vegan athletes, collab with other YouTubers, and hopefully come up with some amazing content. So the long-term strategy really is just to help turn the world vegan for the benefit of the people, the planet, and the animals. But yeah, in order to do that, I think a bit of travel's on the card. So really excited about that. Rob Baldwin says, if you had to choose between trying a new vegan sandwich or saving the life of Sferridge as he slowly drowns, what garnish would you have on your sandwich? Pickle. Jim Witch asks, when I make a quinoa rainbow salad, how do I stop myself eating the whole goddamn lot? You don't. It's the healthiest food on the planet. Smash it all down, girl. Monk of Funk says, did you go full vegan overnight or was it more gradual? So my partner Gemma went vegan first. She was trying to help her health condition and you know, she was looking at all the data on nutrition and health, disease prevention, longevity. At the time, I was eating more animal products than anyone I ever met. So she gave the vegan thing a go, whole foods, her health flourished. She was looking at all this data on how animal products kill us. And, you know, she looked very frightened. And she said to me, you need to change. And then I looked at all the data and I was pretty damn frightened as well. And so I gave it a go. Initially, I went 98% vegan because I thought we've been eating animal products historically. Do we need DHA from fish? Although I never enjoyed fish, but I just ate it because I thought we needed the omega-3 from there. I was eating some grass-fed beef as well because I thought, just are there things in there that we do need? Over time, I lost the taste for them, didn't enjoy them. Re-looked at all the data I'd found, nutritionfacts.org. I read all the plant-based doctors' books, and I really saw that pretty much every single essential nutrient in animal products comes from plants initially. And so I went 100%, and my health and my performance, in the gym just skyrocketed and never looked back. Grateful Vegans, good name. What's your opinion on the vegan keto diet? Not as bad as the animal version, but still far from healthy. The longest lived people on the planet, the Okinawans of the 1940s, ate 85% of their calories as carbohydrate. If you were going to do it, I would say definitely swerve all the oils, nuts, seeds, avocado, maybe olives if there's not too much sodium in there, but I think that they nearly always come with a ton of sodium, so wouldn't really recommend those. But there's even some new science now on the healthiest whole foods versions of, high fat content foods, nuts, seeds, etc., showing that they do create vasoconstriction. There's some new equipment out. This doctor's been doing experiments on himself. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn is now going to get involved with his research and have a look. But it looks like any really decent amount of overt fats just really squeezes our arteries. We need these to be elastic and able to perform peristalsis. We really say the best marker of our age is kind of the age of our blood vessels. So I don't think it's helpful. Not only that, high protein, high fat foods like the nuts and seeds, etc., they have a lot more of these advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are a gerontotoxin. They accelerate the aging process through every tissue of our body. So in the eyes, it's macular degeneration. In the blood vessels, atherosclerosis, osteoporosis in the bones, sarcopenia in the muscles, so it's cross-linking of the proteins, causes dysfunction and over time, atrophy. So, into older age, the more we get away from a high carb, whole foods, plant-based, the more we're gonna kind of lose our muscle gains. And if that's not enough to stop you, I don't know what is. When we look to nature and naturally attainable quantities of foods, I think it really informs, what we should be eating. So if you consider people using ancient hunting methods, 9 times out of 10 they come back empty-handed because the animals don't want to die. There's no bags of shelled nuts. To get a nut out of its fleshy casing and hard shell, it's a hell of a lot of work. It takes ages. You have to have developed tools to be able to do so. So there's no bags of shelled nuts. There's no pots of peanut butter or tahini. There's certainly no jugs of oil in nature. So what's readily available? Well, you've got your tropical fruits, things like mangoes. We have this trichromatic vision, which predatory animals do not. We can see when a fruit is ripe by how red it is. We can smell a delicious mango. Your mouth's going to really water. So that kind of tells you what we're meant to be eating. Year round, we can dig up tubers and cook them. So evolutionary biologists are thinking now as that we developed our brains from being able to cook larger amounts of starch. To develop the brain capacity to build weapons like tools, we'd have to be very developed in the first place. So it's back to front to think that being able to eat meat was the reason we got so clever. Tommy King asks, best natural vegan foods to boost testosterone, hench. The only time you'll get a real boost in your testosterone naturally is if maybe you're nutrient deficient in the first place. Perhaps you're low on zinc. You eat a few more nuts and things which have got zinc in, then you get that little bump up. And then you have the right amount of testosterone. Really, to get it much more than the normal range, not really possible. You certainly won't notice any benefits in the gym or anything like that. And the last question from Sherilyn Robinson. Chronometer tells me I'm exceeding my protein, but I never seem to hit all the protein indicators. I'm going to guess that she means essential amino acids there. They are generally low. I'm not sure how I'm getting enough protein. So if you're over relying on certain vegan foods, like for instance, fruits, it can be easy to be a bit shy on some of the essential amino acids. I would say just to eat a good range of different whole plant foods, particularly like legumes are great, and whole grains, quinoa #1. And get your veggies in, get a bit of fruit as well, get your nuts and seeds. And by the end of the day, if you're eating adequate amounts of calories, you should be getting all your protein requirements that you need. She also says, I'm low calcium and vitamin E. Any small tweaks to boost the nutrient intake, but not massive calories, as I need to keep it at 1800 calories to lose weight. Thanks. So it can be a little more tricky on a lower amount of calories to get all your nutrients in, but you know, it can be done, particularly if you use a lot of vegetables, because there are a lot of nutrition for little calories. So my little tricks for vitamin E, I would typically prescribe a decent amount of sweet potatoes. If you can get a can's worth of tomatoes in, that's a huge amount of vitamin E. And also your leafy greens, things like kale, spinach, and quinoa is pretty good as well. So again, that will tie in with your protein needs. Calcium wise, your leafy greens are the real superstars, particularly kale, which has a really good amount. Legumes are good. Most whole plant foods have at least some calcium in there. So, you know, again, if you're getting a good volume in particularly vegetables, but also you could consider, if volume is an issue, you can't stuff in quite as much as you want to. I don't see the judicious use of a little fortified milk as anything too unhealthy. Just as an aside, if anyone wants to add in a multi-nutrient product, I don't recommend synthesized vitamins and minerals. They're not very bioavailable, and meta-analysis shows that if anything, they probably do more harm than good. But there's companies such as VivoLife that do whole foods based supplements. So VivoLife do the Thrive Living Multi-Nutrient. It has like twice your RDA of vitamin E, for instance, and it's got obviously loads of other vitamins and minerals as well. So that's a nice little hack. If you want to have a look at that, link in the description. Again, you can get 10% off with my code HENCH10. Click on this video now or suffer a fate worse than death. You might be bored for a few seconds until you find something else.